Let's call the meeting to order at 6:05. And, Kevin, would you lead us in a
Sure. Lord, we thank you for the beauty that we find in this day. We thank you for the blue sky and the respite from the cold. We do pray for those who are without heat, who are without means, and ask that you would bring your warmth into those situations. Ask your blessing upon those who are not with us tonight. Ask your safety upon them. Ask your blessing upon our time together, and thank you for the people around this table, for Kathy and her leadership, and just pray that you would give us your insight and wisdom as we examine the needs of your church. And we pray this in the name of Christ our Lord. Amen.
Okay, Dave Stillwell was not here last time. Does everybody know Dave? Okay, this is Carol.
Carol, do I know?
Yes, I sit behind you.
And
She knows the back of your
I'm
head.
embarrassed, okay.
Yeah.
And Matt, we just met.
She knows what the back of
Your head looks like.
Yeah, when she came in,
Pretty
so
awesome.
you recognize her.
I'm a nice person now, care what anybody says.
Okay, and you and Matt, I just you Matt, so everything's good on that. That's, I'm the meeting scribe. Look at that, we're halfway through. No, confirm agenda. Does anybody have anything that they thought we were gonna talk about that's not on the agenda?
I've been asked to bring two things just for
Okay.
consideration and understanding if there's a possible need. They're both, one of them is the garden plots across the street. I know we had some initial conversation about that, but we'd like to have a little bit more.
Okay.
Somebody has asked me. And the other is well, you actually have it here, January 2019 capital campaign.
Mhm.
I've been asked to bring some information that pertains to that.
Okay.
So, that's good.
And I went to the life safety ministry
Oh.
meeting, and I'll give you a little report.
Okay, I'll put that under reports.
Okay.
And then I will add the garden to, oh, I don't have to new business? New business, garden. Okay. Oh, there's something else. Okay then, so the first order of business is the minutes from the January meeting, which I attempted to document whatever we did. So everybody have a chance to look at those?
I'm seeing Roger in there too.
Oh, yeah, that's right, I knew there was something.
There's a typo there in that first line.
Typo?
Well, I'm not sure what Kathy then provided an overview of the trustees' responsibilities and cautions
Oh,
to them found in the, is that correct?
well, literally, that's what it said in the book, that
Okay.
those are cautions not to, but maybe it, reads weirdly.
Caution being a noun rather than verb. I guess.
Yeah,
I believe that's right.
Okay.
trustees' responsibilities and cautions to them.
If you read it that way, it makes sense.
As a noun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Do you want all typos corrected?
Says the English teacher.
Necessary.
No.
Yes.
All right, nobody will ever take notes. I know. In the very first line,
Mhm.
under opening, that's the wrong kind of lead, that's pencil lead. Should be
Oh,
LED.
That one always gets me.
All right.
That will get me in every single thing you ever see from me.
It's like being in
Okay.
English class.
I didn't even catch it.
I read it, but I didn't.
You know, how about if you feel like marking it up, you can mark it up and give it to me and I'll fix it.
Double red.
Later.
Yeah. Sorry,
No, I know, that's okay.
It's like carrying those little
That's
stars with you.
kind of, yeah, who I am and what I do.
If it is, which that's fine.
I mean, it is the word lead, it's just the wrong one.
It's the wrong one. You are correct, it is the wrong one. Anyway, okay, so other than the typos and the clarifying of the sentence about cautions, I don't know if I need to change the sentence or just that I've.
No, you're good.
Okay.
That's in the book.
Is there a, motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, passing the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So the next thing on the agenda is, chair report. One thing I forgot to do last month and, which I found out that, Jane volunteered for the life, safety committee and self-defense, because she knew I was gonna do it. Robert Schultz had been, earlier when he was going to be on the trustees, was going to be my co-chair. Last year I did not have a co-chair, but this is my last year as the chair, so if anybody wants to be like a chair in training, they could volunteer to be the co-chair. Also, I'm aware, I have an opportunity to do Aunt Grandma baby in April when we have our meet, like my brother has a new baby and they're up there and anyway.
That's hard, an old baby.
That's true. My brother's pretty old to have a new baby, so that's, anyway, the point being that I wouldn't be here on the April meeting. We could either cancel or someone else could chair or could just kind of run the meeting, which, isn't that hard? But is there any volunteers and or nominations for a co-chair? We could nominate Roger since he's not here.
That's a good idea. I nominate Roger.
We come up with just that month?
Well, I was hoping to have someone
I don't,
all year, and then maybe when you and I have meetings, they could come and kind of just get the feel of.
does Roger have another year to go?
See, I don't think so. I think he's
No.
my same
I
year.
don't think he does either. That's why I'm asking.
Right, so I think, all you guys that are here either have 1 or 2 years, but I also know that 3 of you are new. Are you done this year, or do you have 1 more
No,
year?
1 more year.
Uh-huh.
All right, I'll do it.
Oh, my.
Yay!
Yeah.
Well, that was easy.
Thank you, Dave Stillman.
By the way, I'm not here next month.
Okay,
I'll be here in April.
okay, that's good stuff. Thank you. Do we have to vote, or since he volunteered? All in favor?
Aye. How fast can we say
Oh,
aye?
what a team effort.
Okay,
That doesn't mean I'm gonna be chair next year, I'm just saying.
I know, you'll be, okay, thank you very much.
For the April meeting.
Mhm. For the April
and
meeting.
If you happen to get sick or something.
Thank you very much.
Can you do paperwork for me though?
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay, so, I also learned, some of this I learned when I took this job, and some of it I learned over time, that the chairman of the trustees is on church council. The chairman or their representative can be on the finance committee. I've been going to the finance committee. I didn't know if anybody would like to go to the finance committee. Maybe I'll accept that. Silence. You just took co-chair, you took life safety.
I've got my
notes.
committee.
Okay.
Okay.
The other one is the trustees, should have an ex officio member on the endowment committee. The endowment committee is just reformulated to manage kind of the big chunks of funding. They presented a whole plan of action at the church council meeting, and so I didn't know if anybody's interested in that. Part of their goals is to manage the endowment better, make it available, income from the endowment available for like little mini grants around the church.
Is it an active part or just a showing up part?
I think it's a showing up partly, so the trustees have some responsibility, like if people give us an endowment, then we're supposed to say thank you and then give it to the endowment committee.
Does the wording in there actually say ex officio?
That's what it says in the
So,
book.
it's a non-voting thing, it's
You have
just.
voice
Yeah,
without
it's
vote.
more just, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll do
Really?
that.
Okay.
It's not something that they're gonna be ready
Yeah,
for several months.
okay,
Okay.
so.
I have an interest in it.
Okay,
Somebody remind me of the meetings are.
yeah, okay, well, what I'll
Contact
do
them.
probably is just say
Have
they,
contact them.
tell them that, who is the person, the man that reported it?
Jeff Felton.
Jeff Felton. You're just all volunteering today.
You gonna remember any of this?
No. I'm just trying to get the meeting amongst them,
Okay.
get out of it,
Okay.
so you guys don't owe me.
Okay, So then, what was I gonna tell you? I just wrote down that I should tell you about the finance committee and the church council. And I'm gonna tell you stuff that we have a budget. We passed the budget. The budget is, like last year, kind of backstopped with the Unity University fund, but we hope we can raise enough money not to need very much of it. Last year, we passed a budget with, I think, 40,000 backstopped, and we only used about 13.
No,
So,
it was actually about 3,400
oh, 30.
ended up being used out of,
Oh, okay. So,
because they did reimburse most of it.
okay, so 3,400. So we cut the deficit down a lot. So mostly that's pertinent to us because the finance committee will be trying to raise additional funds from the congregation. And you can't really do we don't want to do fundraising from finance, Five Guys things or bake sales things, because other missions are doing fundraising all the time, and we don't want to compete with that, and it's operations. And one of the things that has been talked about is that the capital campaign pledges will be expiring at some point this year. So that could be an opportunity to encourage people to switch to the regular pledge. So when we get to talking about capital stuff, that is something that's being discussed. I did. I had, one of the things that happened while I was reading the book to talk to you guys last month is I read a whole part about, and then I was poking around, doing research on all kinds of trustee, that was all over the UMC websites this month. Stalker. That, the trustees are responsible to ensure that the church is properly insured, and there's a checklist of all the insurance you should have. Now, we're a church with professional staff, so primarily that's delegated, but I checked in with Dan, and Dan and Kate go through the checklist from the conference every year, make sure that we're having all the amount of insurance that they say we should have. And I just wanted to let you know that Dan, you guys do that in July or August?
We do in July and August, depending on Nate's schedule. But we do it just like the conference says, to not only be in compliance, but to review elements that are optional, whereas we need to spend our dollars depending on decisions we make.
So, maybe in August or September, you can come and report on that to us so that we make sure we're doing our job as an oversight body. I think, what else am I gonna report? I did, at the last meeting, we had, voted not to have the counseling center, or the counseling in the church, and so I did communicate that to, Suzette in both, a verbal conversation and in writing. And she's disappointed, but okay, and then Kevin and I were back and forth about maybe other opportunities to use that talent or desire to serve. So we'll see where that goes, but that is over. I communicated to Mike Stringer for the international missions that are the two non-mutually exclusive options for their display board in the fellowship hall. And they like the name tag, take the name tag thing down and put up their things there. And the two sections to the right of the coat rack, if he hasn't already talked to you, he's already talked to you. He didn't feel that they had anyone on their committee that was technologically savvy enough to handle the digital thing we talked about. So they're gonna do the display first. And I don't know whether that other thing will ever happen, but.
Not right now.
So I think those are all my follow-up, and then the other thing I think people are aware, I did reach out to John Oler about the stained glass window, but he has passed away, so, that was he actually at the time, he's like, I don't think my health can do it, so, that was very sorry. I don't think, was he sick for a long time, Kevin?
No.
Do you know? No.
No, he was in the hospital for a couple days and was at Avalon for rehab, passed away at Avalon.
Okay. So I think that was unexpected on many.
So it's on our agenda then?
Yeah.
Was he going to make one for us?
I think he was. My understanding is he made the little prayer nook in the sanctuary,
Mhm.
carvings, so I think he was gonna make something. Oh, I
thought maybe he already had it made. He just-
Yeah.
I thought the same thing, but I
That's
didn't
what I
know.
thought too. I think he was gonna make it. So those are all my items to report on. To report on the life safety.
Yes, I would. There was a meeting last week attended by Pastor Kevin, Doug McMillan, Lowell Black, and me. First of all, I'll give you a little, very quick. The Life Safety Ministry will seek to protect our people in the church from untoward events, and if one should happen, have people in place to initially respond to the incident until city first responders can arrive. And this committee, there were only 4 of us there. These are the folks who are invited to participate in this committee. Member of the prayer ministry, head of the medical team, which right now is Lowell, right? I think, okay. Head of the safety team, head of the fire protection team, a representative from the trustees, that would be me, and the maintenance director, and the director of connections, which would be Heather. Now, am I correct in that Lowell is going to be the head of the fire protection team?
I think so.
Okay, one of the things Lowell wanted to do was divest himself of being responsible for organizing this group, because he really, his heart is in fire protection, since that's his business. So Doug McMillan graciously agreed to tie this group together. And the thing that I think is important for the trustees, because it involves money, Doug has done an amazing job of going around the church and taking photos of every place he thinks there should be a camera. And he talked about enhancing the Wi-Fi and having the main camera in by the reception area. Correct me if I'm wrong in any of this.
Okay.
And he said it would take 8, he could do 8 cameras, and he gave us, I said, can you give me a ballpark figure? And he said, less installation, about $2,200. The main camera would be a good one, and the other ones would not necessarily need to be that sophisticated. So, do you think he was looking for an okay, or what do you think he was doing? I don't know.
I thought he was providing information.
Yeah.
So then, and we told him to go ahead and pursue, maybe, did we?
No.
No, we didn't, okay. The other thing that was asked was, this is the protocol that all the schools use for the first responders, what you do when. And I told him that I could get him one of those, if, this is Lowell now, if he said he would like to see it. So could you pass this on to Lowell? And I told him, now Lowell, it was green, there was some discussion on what color we should print it. And he said, oh, but Valpo's green, so I think we're okay. But that, it tells what to do, it talks about a lockdown, a lockout, things to do about that. So the idea of the committee is just to try to get all of these safety groups under one umbrella.
One umbrella.
Mhm.
Okay, that's a good idea. So I'm calling that security cameras. So we had a whole lot of stuff about cameras last year, so we'll have to.
I mean, he had all kinds
Yeah.
of details about it. 7 cameras that would serve the entire facility. 1080, he even had numbers, the observational type, large storage, 30-day record, and the safety team would be able to access it, and the welcome desk would be able to access all cameras. He said part of the problem is when you're in the back, you can't see
Right.
this door. Well, my
Mhm.
directions are awful, but the Franklin Street door, you can't see it when you're back there.
Yeah.
And he's really thinks we need to do something about that.
So he's thinking about 2,200 for the cameras, but he said plus
Less
install.
less
right?
installation.
Do
He
we have
said,
somebody local who could install it for next to nothing, or, because installation of those things.
could be, I know, and getting
Could
the
be a
one
headache
over
in
to
this-
Jefferson Street.
With all the remodeling going on,
Problem.
'cause I remember running wire here to there and whatever, that can be really costly,
Yeah,
if you have to have
wires.
somebody professional about it, so I'm just,
Yeah, I think at the next meeting, we'll probably discuss it a little bit more.
okay. Because before we say, okay, we need to
Yeah,
get,
oh yeah, I'm not
Maybe.
asking for money, I'm just
Yeah.
reporting what we discussed. He didn't ask for anything at all, he just was saying what he, in his, and he really had pictures, views, all kinds of views. This camera would be focused here, and this camera would focus here. He had really done a lot of work on this already.
Okay, so that can be a placeholder for the TPF discussion later.
Right.
Did did they talk at all about keys? Who was I talking to about the doors locking from the outside, and especially on Franklin Street? A couple people only have keys, so if there was a danger and the greeter noticed a danger, they'd have to run around and find somebody with a key to go outside and lock the door, and that might take, who was I in that conversation with?
Kate.
Nobody here? Kate?
There's a way around that.
Yeah, you can flip a lock in the door.
Well, the doors of Franklin Street,
Yeah.
Mhm.
crash bar's passive from underneath. You can keep the door in lock mode, past the crash, and the door will open and close all you like. You leave the Allen key,
Mhm.
it's right there.
Okay, well, I didn't know if that was a topic on that committee, but,
They were designed that way for safety's sake.
okay.
Is there an Allen wrench there?
There is not, because we leave it either locked or unlocked
Yeah.
based on the lock count.
Maybe that was what they were talking about, the Allen wrench, that people would have to go find the Allen wrench.
Well,
Well, there
like
is-
on Jefferson Street, the Allen wrench is right there inside the fire extinguisher container.
Yeah.
We would have to have a
Mhm.
designated spot for such an Allen wrench at Franklin Street.
Mhm.
And it would follow the same protocol for the people in the know.
Mhm.
Do all the ushers at Jefferson Street, did you know that the Allen wrench was there?
On that street, yeah,
My
and there,
buddy
I've seen it.
usher? Okay, I don't know if that's part of
People
usher
that-
training or not, I've never
It's
gone to
not
usher
great.
training.
I'm not an usher, but I just
I know,
was there
but
from,
do they know that
umpteen
that's-
years of maintenance around here.
Well, normally, the only people that use that are the people that unlock, and they're designated by the lock-unlock calendar that Kate puts out. Whether it's Bruce, whether it's Heather, whether it's someone who's, primarily on the staff, know they're gonna be here, it's their responsibility, they do it. But in the event of an emergency,
Yeah.
it could be done, and this team would be in the know.
So I imagine this team, or the security team, or whatever, will eventually get to that type of thing, and that will also. But, okay, thank you, Jane, for that report and for updating on that. So the next thing on the agenda is the financial reports. I know I sent those just yesterday. Did people get a chance to print them or look at them? Where's my copies? Oh. So the first one I'm gonna go over is the one that says trustees operating budget for tonight. We have,
Came in an email today.
it came late last night. Okay, do I have, I have a couple. No, that's, yeah. I have one you have to share.
I'm sure.
Okay, so obviously we're 1 month into the year. If everything was even at 1 month in the year, we'd spend about 8.3% of our operating budget. We've spent 8.2% of our operating budget, so that's pretty good. We're a little over on utilities, that's kind of to be expected in the winter. And then we'll probably be under on utilities other times in the year. And then the insurance doesn't really get paid every month, so that sort of acts as almost like a cushion until March on the utilities, so, that's really all. I don't know if anybody has any questions about that. Last month I kinda went over what types of expenses are in those different categories. Somebody, I know it's tiny. So what I kind of did, each month I'll add the actual expenses. All the blue italics is, estimated or projected if everything was even throughout the year. So that part, there's no questions. The next one is the TPF property fund. There was one additional piece of information I didn't have when I sent this to you yesterday. We did pay a payment to the, let's pause and go through that. We have pledges of almost $83,000 to the trustees property fund for the year. And then we have typically get income that's not pledged, and I just looked at the last year, which in the last year we had like $26,000 non-pledged, but 15,000 of that was one big donation to pay off debt. So I was being very conservative here and guessing 10,000. And then the $2,000 is like that comes from the capital campaign fund, and it has to do with the roof, so periodically we get a little capital money into the property fund for the roof payments. And then if I ever get the cemetery stuff organized, we may have proceeds from that. And then, if, for example, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, if we rent out the bus, we would get a little income there, so. So that's the income we would expect to get. So the reason I've spread this out over the month is, later on, we're gonna talk about projects, like, what other projects we wanna do this year. It's important to keep in mind kind of that we don't have all the money right now, cause it comes in every month, the income part. Mostly it seems to work out pretty well. I wanted to check with you, Dan, did I skip your report? No, that's what's next, okay. There was 845 for radon, is that the whole project? Okay, and then,
Full installation and the retest.
okay, and the 604 was that, we'll have to fix the furnace after it got wet, okay. But I wasn't sure what the Pioneer Construction,
It was, work that had been done in the parsonage after the water damage.
okay, so Tammy had it under miscellaneous, but it should probably go up under parsonage.
I don't know where they decided to put that.
Yeah,
I
so
just-
I'll ask her. Okay.
And
I thought it would have to be that, but, okay. I'll ask. So far this year, other than the personage debacle, we've spent, $2,700, so we have 92,000 in the bank. So, any questions about that?
Nope, we're just saving up for windows.
You're gonna
I'm
like
not
that.
right now.
Okay, and Dan, do you wanna do, I'm gonna talk about the capital, well, you had something to report on the capital campaign.
Some information that I wanted to add,
Okay.
just as a point of information and conversation to see if we wanted to do anything with it.
Okay. I was gonna talk about the capital campaign when we talk about projects for the year, but if you wanna
Whatever you
give that information now, and then that will be and then we'll segue into your report.
Sure. Pastor D brought a piece of information to my attention and asked if I could bring it to the trustees and share it. There is a Ministry of the Poor grant that is available through the and see. It is $2,000, and she wanted to let all of us know that that is available, but we would have to act on it quite quickly. I believe the application deadline is the 1st of March. She says that the application process is simple, and wanted to know if we would be interested in applying for the purpose of working with the conversion over at Asbury to add showers when we get to that point, a washer and dryer. She has a washer and dryer she'd like to donate to the church, and if we were to use this fund to add to the capital, it would be a possibility for us to add a washer and dryer for the purposes of any ministry that may need it.
Is there a date on that or when you have to spend the money by? I mean,
I think it's gonna be an annual.
Well, this says it goes out over $100,000 every year.
okay, so this is for 2,000, but we don't have to spend it right, we can
Once they
bank it.
give it to you, it's yours.
Okay,
To be used as the grant is designed for.
'cause I know sometimes in grants, if
ministry
you don't use it
use.
within a year, it's void.
I have a personal conflict of interest on that because I'm working with my, I'm on the board of an urban farm with the Gary Methodist Church, and I'm gonna apply for that for them, so.
Oh, well.
Doesn't mean we can't apply for it here
well,
too.
It's not one church gets $100,000.
Right, no, I know, it's $2,000 each, so we can certainly apply.
Yeah.
too.
So she just asked if the trustees would like to see if somebody would like to do the application process on behalf of the church. So I told her I would bring it. It's all here if anybody wants it. And that's what she asked me to bring.
Anybody Anybody good at filling out forms?
I'm sorry.
Anybody good here at filling out forms, or is that?
You know what, I honestly didn't open it and see how detailed it was.
It's
She
a-
brought it to me late today and I said I'd bring it.
It's a 4-page grant application, which is, I'm used to government grant applications, so it's pretty.
Can I see it?
Yeah.
She said we have until the end of February to,
Yeah, I think it's in March 1st.
something like that,
Today's
yeah.
13th, so you got 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think, you know, if that's the highest use of it, or if there's a better use for it in one of the other ministries, that would be a question in my head, cause we do have money. But I think it's.
She does have a washer and dryer she wants to give to the church regardless. She just thought this might be an opportunity
Yeah.
for us to pay for, the ability to install and use it for
Yeah.
the
Do you have any
shelter,
place to
or
put it?
for whatever.
Do you have any place to put a washer and dryer now?
No.
No.
But we have plumbing,
Yeah.
gas, and electric available on the second floor,
Mhm.
and it could be done.
Okay.
That would facilitate the fees in which to accomplish
Mhm.
getting that. I was kinda hoping Jeff would be here so he could talk a little bit about it. You're smart enough to know in the engineering capacity, you know, what we were going to, as we talk about the capital campaign.
Right.
Phase 2 is tear out a wall, put in showers, you know,
Yeah.
redo some of that second floor of Asbury, and this would be in that spectrum.
Second floor, you talking about the shop area?
No, the 3rd floor.
Third floor
So-
then, okay.
I'm sorry, I think basement, main floor, second floor.
I've been
Okay,
in my
I
head
think
trying to
top
go
floor.
to upper,
First, second
upper,
floor.
lower,
Okay.
and main.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Gotcha.
my new upper floor, main floor, lower
There
floor,
you go.
that way.
Could be the upper floor. So, and quite honestly, I think we're gonna get this washer and dryer either way unless someone tells her no.
You have a place to store it until we.
Well,
get
She's
that
gonna
done.
need to store it until we have any place to put it.
I think the question's going to arise, do you have some place to put it if I want to get rid of it? Because she wants it out of her garage and she'd rather we have it first. If we delay, then we may lose an opportunity, it's, you know, food for thought.
Any room in the boiler room, over in Asbury?
Have you been in there? There's no room for free.
There's no room to stand in there.
What about the room across from the restrooms, that boiler room? Not boiler room, but utility room.
On the lower level?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
talking basement now.
basement.
Oh no.
I was thinking the what about the storage behind the kitchen? You know, you go through the fire doors and the kitchen's over there, and there's a kind of storage by the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah, there's an alcove back there.
Right, yeah.
That's where Santa's at.
There's tons of room in that. No, there's tons of room in that kitchen and, well, I don't know. Okay.
All right,
We'll talk, that could
Could
be on
we
the
find
project
space to put
list.
it? Yes, we could.
Okay. Is there any, thing exciting in your, I know everything in your report is exciting, but I can't.
Honestly, the only thing that is of
Okay.
consequence,
Mhm.
is actually in the unfinished business portion of the radon mitigation.
Mhm.
We did do the radon installation, they came, they installed, and they got it up and running, came back and did their testing. The original testing came back at 5.7,
Mhm.
whereas 4.0 was the threshold for
Mhm.
risk. It's now currently at 0.5.
Yay,
Wow.
good job.
it's for a fan.
Yeah. So, it's been installed, it's been paid for. Pastor Kevin can speak to its functionality, we're not having any problems, everything looks like it should.
The water main access drawer, that's downstairs in the basement over in the right
Yeah.
It
corner.
was behind a wall,
You take the
right?
screws out of the
You're the
panel.
one that knows that.
I know
Nobody knew
everything
that when
about
they're-
that house. I did your kitchen, I did your flooring, I
This
did
thing
your.
was-
Where were you on New Year's
Screwed
Eve
into
when
the
he
wall.
needed?
Nobody called me.
Screwed into the wall.
Yeah, I put the screws in there.
And painted over so they couldn't be seen.
Oh, I don't do that.
Yeah.
No,
And
no,
it
I took
wasn't
that
painted
panel
over
off
once.
2 or 3 times.
It was painted over.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
when
Right
we
here.
changed the kitchen fixtures, we had to shut the water off to the house.
Right.
So I've turned it on and off many times.
Well, there's 2 of those shut-offs in the utility room. One of them
So
is
take
supplemental.
take the list home, Kevin, so next time that happens, which
Oh.
will never be again.
Trust me, we now have a door that you
It's a
can
door,
open and
you
close,
open it, and it
and a
says-
label on it that says,
I helped put your bathroom in upstairs.
yeah, full house water shut off.
But Dave's still on speed dial.
And to get into your tub in the master, back in the closet, yeah.
I just crawl into the
Yeah.
tub.
Sorry.
Radon mitigation is a resounding success. So we are good in that arena. While I have the floor, I can do your tree removal as well, if you
Okay.
want to knock that out.
Yep.
I did get a very pleasant follow-up call from a company who first said they could not help because of their scheduling. And I had called a couple of other places outside of our area to see if they'd come in and if they were hungry for work in the winter. But Russell's Tree Service that did our arborvitaes over around Labyrinth,
Right.
they called me and said, we have reviewed your request and we have some time.
Mhm.
And they came and I thought the number was just gonna shock me because they squeezed me in. $400.
Wow.
No. So to trim it or to remove it?
Nice.
Remove it and stump grind it.
Wow.
Wow.
No, you signed it right away. I paid $1,200 for my
I
tree.
called him back
All right.
because
I
the
had
secretary
three
called me and
estimates of
gave me the
$1,500.
number and I said, can you please send me that proposal so that I can print it and get approval right away?
Yeah.
When what I really wanted was,
Mhm.
writing to commit to the dollars.
Absolutely.
I had it.
Oh, we gotta remember that for later. I gotta remember that for my own thing.
Well, I now have
Where are they out? What town are they out of?
Demont.
Holy.
Yeah, I was
Good
was
job.
shaking the trees. Anyway, Russell Tree Service,
Okay.
here is the certified.
$53 just something.
Do you need a motion to pay that bill?
Well, we just need to make a determination as to where you'd like the funds to be drawn.
Keep their business card for sure.
Oh, they got their own file now.
Well, we have $92,000 in the TPF.
It's $400, and all I gotta do is call and schedule it.
Well, isn't the parsonage part of our
Maintenance?
property?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would, unless that is maintenance, but we were over budget last year in our operating budget, and we have cash in the TPF, so that's where I would,
That and parsonage maintenance is not a large number for the year, so.
yeah, so I
You're
would,
probably better off that way.
I would entertain a motion to pay for that out of the
That's what they're doing.
So
Yeah.
moved.
Second.
Carol, oh, I'm supposed to write that down.
Do we need to do anything about accepting the washer and dryer?
I don't know how you wanna deal with that. She's willing to give it to the church. They're functional, they're in great condition, and she just wants to know if we'd like to have it. So if we want it, we're gonna have to make an arrangement to A, get it, and B, store it.
Could be a couple of years of it before
I'm
the
putting
other
that
stuff
under new
happens, isn't it?
business.
What's the schedule, time schedule on,
Sometime in the next 36 months.
3 years?
Mhm.
That kind of.
Well, cause this is phase 2.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, with regards to the tree, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay, I will call Russell's Tree Service in the morning.
What do you think? Only if we find a place to store
Set
it?
up the schedule to.
Or only if she'll keep it?
We have
the tree.
no
Okay.
place to put it.
Yay.
Doesn't sound like she wants to keep it. Sounds like she wants it out, and if we don't take it, she's gonna give it to somebody else.
Oh, back?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Do
I
I have
understand
it?
that.
Yes, I already lost it.
Which is-
Well,
Don't
if
give me paper.
it's
You
gonna
need
be
a copy
3
of
years,
it? No, I
maybe
don't.
another one will
I
come
just
along
don't.
and,
No.
you know, you
Paper
can't
that's
store.
important.
I
Unless
got
it-
the-
And just storing and not working, it doesn't help the motor at
No,
all either.
that's true.
And the rubber and everything else, it all
Okay.
rots. So I would
Right.
say,
That's true.
Okay, so we're
Maybe no.
through the radon mitigation, the tree removal, and the stained glass window, which I should have crossed off probably, the unfinished business. New business, this, original request has been rescinded, but I wanted to talk over with you guys what happens, and maybe just, you can authorize Kate and I to do this in the future. You got in your packet the vehicle use policy. Last year, I think DJ, what church is DJ at, Grace Point?
Grace
Yeah.
Point?
He rented our bus
yeah.
2 or 3 times. Oh, here it is, it's, so, and since he used to work here and he was a driver of it before, this is the policy in place if someone wants to use our vehicle for something. And all the things they're supposed to check it. Dan, you check the maintenance before they go,
Correct?
and then check it again after they get back,
Correct.
and then,
There's a check-off sheet process.
right, and so we charge, what do we charge, $100?
14 cents a mile,
How much
$75
we-
That's a mile, but I thought we had a,
There's $75
Oh, $75
For non-church use.
Okay, and then plus the mileage.
Correct.
So, last year, I feel like we voted on this 2 or 3 different times. You
We
don't
voted
remember?
on repairing buses, buying buses.
A lot of bus
and-
stuff.
And also, yeah, this, I don't remember how it ended.
So,
I know how I felt, but.
should they come back and ask again? I mean, would you guys wanna vote on that every time, or say, we know there's a policy and if everyone's following the policy, or this could be a project later to look at the policy and see if it's good policy. I think the 2005 bus, we should not let anyone use because, yeah.
We don't even
Yeah,
use
that
that one
one.
much.
No.
We should not use that bus.
We should not, so I think we should just take the 2005 bus off the form.
So Kate's got the masters, so she just has.
Right, so I'll tell you, but other than that, I guess the chair would entertain a motion to authorize, the business administrator and the chair to approve future vehicle use requests for the year.
How does everybody feel about us loaning the bus out to to the community? Anybody have any?
It was a question we had 2 years ago.
That's probably because I want to come on.
No, in that, you are correct, we did it case by case.
How
There were people that asked for the bus and we said no, and then there were people that asked for the bus.
And
we
then
said
we're
yes.
talking about, buying a bus versus renting a bus when we need it. Sometimes it's getting,
Well, so that's a
I
good
just think
discussion
we
point.
need, we don't need to spend money on a new bus. We need to rent a bus when we need a bus, but go to Enterprise for it. Grace Point is what, 2,000 people, they've got more than we have. They should buy their own bus.
I think last year was 2.
I'm just thinking out loud here, I'm just
Yeah.
expressing my feelings, that I think
No,
the
you're
bus
fine.
should be ours right now, and not wear and tear on
You're talking to a
outside
member of Grace
events.
Point, so you're right.
And if anything, let them buy the bus when we rent it from them when we need it twice a year.
I can tell you from the inside out of Grace Point and from the outside in to here, bus purchases on their horizon.
Okay.
They are looking to facilitate, transportation purchases.
And I worry so much about liability.
We wanna buy our.
But they
bad
carry
bus
all of their
now.
own. They
Yeah.
carry
Right.
the liability. They carry our minimums based on the UMC and their own is first. So if anything were to happen,
Yeah.
they would deplete in their entirety, and then they would come to us.
I just think you get 12 people on a bus and it gets in an accident, all of a sudden you get multiple deaths, whatever. They're gonna sue everybody they get their hands on, the maker and the church and their church and the driver and
It's possible.
anybody and everybody.
Well, so we could,
I'm just throwing my thoughts out there.
Well, no,
I know.
If it was my bus, I would not let anybody else use it, and I would
But that same
hesitate
statement
on us
remains
buying a new
true
one.
if it happened to just us. I mean, that's to say that our
That's
neighbor
true.
wouldn't sue us for negligence and or wrongful
My
death.
husband's getting ready to drive that bus over to Illinois.
What's to
3
say
weeks.
that somebody might drive that bus into a dead-end street and then have all of the youth of our church out in the middle of a busy street in Cincinnati directing traffic while it's backing up out of the block street?
That didn't
There
happen.
was 0 youth involved in that. There was one me involved in that, but 0 youth.
No, there was a bunch of them standing in the middle of the street.
Oh, they
and
were
the
not in the
liability
middle
for
of the
that.
street.
Can I
Okay.
ask how many different organizations other than Grace Point have used it?
Since I've been on this committee, only Grace Point.
Oh, so it's not like we get all kinds of outside.
We've had a couple
We-
of other offer or requests, and we've refused them.
So if we
So-
wanna just keep it the committee deciding every time
We're
instead of
there.
just doing a blanket, then that's fine
There
too.
really are so few of them.
Yeah,
We're-
and
Okay,
if
I'm
gonna
just
get thrown.
expressing my opinion, and
Sure.
I think you should do it by case then.
Okay.
Were they
That's my
not
personal-
churches or?
Correct.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't want anybody to do a party bus or something.
Well, it was, similar to that, but I mean, it was not gonna be a, a booze cruise or anything like that.
Kiwanis could borrow to go to a baseball game. That is just,
Something along that line.
again, our name is on the bus. That bus represents us. Whether you cut somebody off, or somebody in there flips somebody off,
You are
it's
correct.
Methodist Church is on the sign of the bus.
We try to refrain from that.
That's where I think
You are correct.
whatever happens to that bus, it reflects on us.
It's easier to just
The bus breaks down on the side of the road.
Happens one time and you're labeled for life.
That's actually true, okay. So we're gonna keep this at a case by case for now, and maybe we can revisit later if we wanna change the policy. Maybe we should charge a lot more money for it, Dave, so it's an income generator. $1,000.
Oh, we can raise the price up and make it worth our while, it should be $300. Take that to
I thought
finance.
$75
Yeah, right?
was cheap. That's
Fundraiser.
very myself.
Rent the bus out, we could rent the
Try
bus out for
and
the
rent an
popcorn
enterprise
fest.
bus for $75
Yeah,
somewhere.
that's true.
Yeah, really.
I'm surprised the youth don't use it to shuttle
They do.
on Aqua Day.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Most of them are already there.
We rent the parking lot.
There's shuttles already in.
Yeah.
I was just
school
thinking of
buses.
extra ways that, you know, they could use the bus to make money. Shuttle up
Charge
there.
everybody.
A large number of the youth are part of the bands, and so they already have to be down there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we're always shuffling to get enough workers to rent the.
Yeah, cause all those people
Yeah.
use, you know, where Three Kings parking lot used to sit.
Yeah.
That huge, that they shuttle people up and down, Erie Street, get them downtown, but, anyway.
So then the next thing is to start thinking about what we wanna do for the coming year. And, I know that, Dan has some stuff, and I actually asked it for council, and I got some feedback from a few people. So I have these, oh, yeah, I didn't hold up yet. Sort of my, we start. So I started this last year, doing a kind of a 3-year plan, which, 3-year plan of projects. And, obviously the ones we're gonna do this year are the most important ones, but kind of with an eye towards what we might do in the future. And I put the first page as a bar graph of how much the, income, pledges and non-pledged income that we've had in the trustees property fund since 2011. It's pretty stable, around 80,000, except for 2014, I think that was the roof year. I think people gave extra money to try to pay that off faster, so that's just to, kind of show it's pretty stable so far. So I think it's reasonable to kind of plan ahead a little bit. And then the other thing, and this, the people who were here last year saw this before, but, I went and looked because, so the cumulative fund is really like what we don't spend every year and what's left behind in every year. So the blue mountain represents how much money that was in the cumulative fund. So like when I first came in, there was like almost $120,000 in the bank. You know, plus we're getting pledges, plus the budget's short. So it seemed like if maybe we shouldn't sit on $120,000 if there's stuff we need to do. And so then I looked at the big emergencies that happened, like where we had to borrow money, and those are the straight lines to try to see, is there maybe an amount we should say, this is how much we're gonna target to leave on the table every year for the next year. And that is totally up to us. We can do that or not do. We could spend it all, everything we have. So that's just to put it in perspective, like if we had $80,000 in the bank, we could pay for like one of the boiler repairs or one of the couple chiller repairs, but we could never have paid for the roof unless we had $200,000 in the bank. So, so that's just like a perspective, I guess, on this. So when we start thinking about, oh, let's build an elevator, let's do whatever, let's put bathrooms in somewhere, that's the kind of, the balance, right? Paying off debt early. A couple years ago, we did spend a lot of time, looking at whether we should pay off some of the debt early. That, Dave Hunt was the chair, I was new on the trustees, and at that point, we decided not to do that. There was some like opportunity, right? Some kind of deal? I'm looking at Dan, I don't remember, we were talking about paying off the roof loan early, and we decided not to for whatever reason. I don't remember the reason, I don't.
You the answer to both of those.
I'm not, oh.
There was an opportunity to save $45,000 in interest by paying off them. We had the money on hand, and we collectively decided that was not going to happen.
Okay. So, apparently and we decided it was better to keep paying the bank and use the money, invest the money in our property.
It was August of 2016.
Oh, okay.
That's when it came about, because we were getting a rate hike.
Oh, okay.
And so we calculated all the numbers to determine what it was gonna save, if we use that big bunch of money to pay it off, and we decided that we would garner more donations to debt than we would capital campaign.
Okay. So,
We did not pay for that.
but that is something we could also decide to do, to pay off debt early. I know Dave's really in favor of that.
For a portion or
Oh,
whatever.
I hate paying interest.
I
To me,
know.
that's just loss of income. I have a question.
Okay.
Some of these have a double asterisk and an asterisk, but I don't see a key to tell me what they mean.
Oh, cause I was gonna talk about it later, thinking about that, then I was gonna go forward, and this is kind of what I did. Where did I put the asterisk? Okay, so.
One of my things, the windows.
Yeah, oh, so, I actually have what I handed out to you on a spreadsheet, in real time, maybe. Okay, so we can play with numbers, but at the top of it, the first page is kind of a summary of the same thing we talked about. So the pledged income, an estimate of non-pledged income, so you could estimate about $95,000 should come in this year. If we continue to pay the loans the way we have been paying them, we would then pay, about $20,000 a year for loan, payment. On the principal, the interest is somewhere else in the thing, I don't really understand, I'm not an accountant, I play one on TV. And so we're going into the year with $87,000 in the bank, so we have, if, by the end of the year, we would have $162,000 if we didn't spend anything. I put in 80 as a placeholder, cause that's what we decided last year to try to target, and so we were trying to leave 80 in the bank, and we ended up leaving 87 in the bank, so we did better than we thought. If we followed all that down the line, if we kept 80,000 in the bank and decided to spend the rest, we could spend, $82,000 this year. Then in the pink, I decided to include the capital campaign in when we think about projects, because some of the projects we may think about, like Wesley Hall windows, were in the capital campaign, and there's funding for that, and I think it's good to think about all the projects, and then decide where you're gonna fund them from. That's just my idea. The only thing I wasn't 100% sure, I don't have a solid answer of when those pledges end. This estimate is based on 6 months left, because I know they end sometime this year.
When does phase 2 kick in? Is there a capital, there wasn't a capital campaign for phase 2?
No, the capital, we only phased it because we didn't make any much money for the first one, so we would have to do a new capital campaign.
Okay.
So right now, it would look like, if it's true, the pledges end at the end of June, we would get about $36,000 more, plus we have 60 in the bank. So then we have, 96,000 available to spend on projects. And those projects, the capital campaign was primarily focused on, Asbury, Wesley Hall, Burlington Beach. Burlington Beach is on here. So that's just kind of the summary.
I got a question.
Okay.
Do you have looking at a lot of this maintenance stuff here, is there priority issues in any of these? Can you put priorities to some of these? Such as replace pressure reducing valve boiler or, other stuff that
Yeah.
may fall apart before we get to it?
Yeah, that's why I don't have all that. The only one I have from maintenance is the circulating pump and pressure valves of the boiler.
Yes. That one is actually priority number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no price there.
1916.
Oh yeah, I had that.
Oh, that one, okay, I'm looking up at top there. Oh, for Asbury.
Oh, that's what the asterisk is for, because I wasn't sure whether,
Well, the 1916 includes a pressure valve at Asbury and a pressure
Yes,
valve at.
that's what the asterisk means, that go look down where I wrote it down for HVAC. Cause I didn't wanna charge that to Kevin anyway. So I don't really know what that means, the boiler, but you were saying the boiler,
There's a
those are
cer-
from
yeah.
1950s or something?
There's a circulating pump in this building that needs to be replaced. It's functional, it is wearing out.
Mhm.
And there are two pressure valves, one in this building, one in Asbury, that both need to be replaced. And those are included in that total price.
Is that also including installation?
Yes.
So,
Any other repairs there that are second priority? Concrete floors or roads or something?
well, so there's these, outstanding, they're down at the bottom under miscellaneous
Mhm.
concrete repairs, where we can't get the original vendor to come back and do them.
Well, those are follow-up calls for March to begin scheduling for fair
Mhm.
weather when they can come back. Because last year they wouldn't do it, they were scrambling to finish new construction. There is another project that needs to be done, but that needs to be done when we convert from heat to air.
Oh, yeah.
And that is, there are filter canisters that water passes through to filter water through the systems. And we have 3 of them that are in a position where they should be replaced. We can decide how we want to pay for them. They're $184 a piece.
And how many are there?
3.
They're filters, and then, is that gonna be an annual thing, like whenever we switch to heat to air?
Once every 20 years.
But we haven't had that for 20 years.
Oh yeah, these are older than me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, not quite as old as me. But they're very, very old. They've probably been replaced at some point in the late
Mhm.
80s, early 90s. They were installed in 68. So this is the water.
That's when I was born, sorry.
Nobody cares.
These are
I
the
know.
water canister containers.
That's rude.
That the supply water filters through. And you open them
Mhm.
and you change the cloth wound filters inside,
Mhm.
twice a year when you convert from air to heat, heat to air. And over a period of time, they become brittle and they wear out. Fortunately, they're not terribly expensive. They're about they're $184 a piece. We need 3 of them. And they'd be done in early May.
I have another question. Fire alarms in Wesley Hall, 15,000.
That came from Lowell, so like as I mentioned at church council, so I just have stuff on this list. It was listed at 15,000 in the capital campaign list. I don't know where that number came from.
I can tell you.
My idea was priority. Are we
Yeah.
missing something? Do we need them? Is
No.
it an
These were
issue?
things back
Or is it
in-
just a want list rather than a need list?
Back in 2015, when we started to formulate all of the things that we desired from our capital
Okay,
campaign,
that's why.
the $55,000 or $46,000 window replacement in Wesley Hall was one of them.
Mhm.
Adding a fire alarm to that building was another. And so the trustees and Dave Hunt, they said, go get prices on all this stuff.
Okay.
So I brought in a whole package of 3 vendors for this and 3 vendors for that and 3 vendors for this. And
Mhm.
this was the price. Rask Fire Systems came in with the best price and said,
Mhm.
to put in a fire system in Wesley Hall that is equivalent to the one that's in the
Are
Asbury.
you talking about a sprinkle system?
No, just a fire alarm.
Just an alarm, but we have fire alarms there now, don't we? If there's a fire over in Wesley Hall, is there a thing you pull down?
Let me go back and check the paperwork. It may be sprinkler system.
Because our kids are there.
No, well, what I thought was that we were looking into adding or upgrading the sprinkler system if Judy wanted to get the state license.
Which she.
But then she decided not to because the toy cleaning requirements were ridiculous. So,
I don't have that with me.
we were looking at sprinklers at one point. So either we don't have sprinklers or the sprinklers are.
Well, see, I remember when I was on the trustees, when Viking, Victoria,
Bowler?
the school,
Victory Christian.
Victory Christian had classes over there, and we had to put a sprinkler system in Asbury.
Yes.
That was a
turned the heat down when I first got
I
here, it
know
was like
this.
75.
That's okay, I don't mind.
Yeah, and then they, you know, they
I
moved
would
out
have to
2
go
years
back
later,
through
but the point is, we put,
and look at my notes on the bid process, but, it could include that. I hate to say it
yeah.
without looking.
Also, how old are those quotes?
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
2015.
So,
Well,
yeah, these are
2015.
placeholders.
Okay, so they're
So,
no
well,
longer valid.
If we look at the possibility
Typically
of
quotes
cost
last a month.
consideration,
Yeah.
they need to
Then-
be redid.
Right, I
Oh,
think
yeah, they'd
almost
have to
anything in
rebid.
here we would, what we would normally, if we
certainly.
decide it's a
Yeah.
project we wanna go ahead with, then
Those
we have to
quotes,
get real
those quotes are
quotes.
like long gone.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Trout's never gonna replace those windows for 46,000 anymore. Yeah, it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's 4 years old.
Right.
Do you need any kind of motion or action on your canisters? Because it sounds to me like the longer those go, the worse it's gonna be.
Well, we can't-
Well, right now,
Major
Can't
thing.
replace
We
them.
can't replace them until May.
Right.
That's, I mean, we're not gonna open up the water system because we'd have
I
to.
know,
drain it.
understand that, but do
Yeah.
you want
Which is why I
that
thought-
be okay to just go ahead and do it without
Oh,
waiting
sure, I mean, you can do it in
for
February, you can do it in
another
March, you
meeting
can
to
do it
say,
in
yes,
April.
go get it, and in the meantime, do something.
Well, I'm trying to, what I'd like to do is put together a package of all the projects we'd like to do this year. Then we turn Dan loose on getting quotes and pricing and scheduling. And then he comes back to us, and if it's more than we can afford, then we trim it down, and if it's, we have free, you know, and then things happen, you know, like.
He's got it.
And my request has always been, whatever we do, we need
Yeah.
to think of energy efficiency to save money.
Yes, that's always.
That's why my big thing is the windows, because they're single pane from 1840s, and
Right.
we
Right.
should change, and that would recover some of the money in the utility bills.
Right, and I like that to go, you know, to choose on
It's a big chunk of
low,
money, though.
lowering future costs.
And is that the direction we wanna go?
You know,
What if
is
we
that-
wanna look at armor glass?
Right,
Don't even get me started.
Well, I'm just saying.
so I thought, so that's what I kind of was gonna do, like literally go through the list. This is a list Dan has, some of them I have in here with no money, cause I didn't know.
This is a list of the things that have been brought to my attention,
Okay.
requested, or I know
Uh-huh.
we are gonna have to look at some of these things sooner or later.
So,
And there's a bunch of them.
oh, they're little tiny ones though. Balcony hallway ceiling repair. Can you explain what that is?
Right outside the hallway,
Oh, okay.
when the roof leaks.
Is that-
Past tense.
Little things like that, I think, should
Yeah.
be done.
Yeah.
That is just
Right,
normal house
right.
repair.
And,
You gotta look nice if you wanna bring people in.
We have the money now, we can do it.
Throw some
We didn't talk
strippies
about
on
it in January because we knew we were gonna
Kills
do
on it.
this in February.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I could go down the list, I mean, there's, Kate
Yeah.
wants me to bring 2 of those to your attention so bad, she'll pay me.
Okay, yeah, go down the
Right,
list,
that's-
you go down the list and I'll try to put it in my spreadsheet and
Okay,
see where we're
I'll
at.
just give you a quick synopsis across the board. Balcony hallway ceiling repair, $750. That's gonna completely scour the top of that ceiling, refinish it, do another popcorn, and repaint it.
What about just kills and popcorn, no?
No, because the drywall's gotta be repaired.
It's all shot, and that's professionally done then?
Yes. Just like we did in the parlor when the, what you call that? Music room, office and ceiling tiles, and air vents need to be replaced. It's about 4,500.
Why the air vents?
They're in disrepair from above.
And we have no ceiling tiles.
Okay, so-
anyways.
It's not-
I guess I have sticker shock every time.
We will, yeah, you would think so.
Last year, Christopher said he was gonna come with a proposal to paint down there, and then he never did.
Right.
So, is it a whole, like, just a whole renovation down there? Like, is the ceiling project separate than that?
It is.
Should I make it separate?
He wants to paint on his own accord at his own leisure, and he's probably talking about
Okay.
$100.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is an acoustic ceiling replacement. Like we did across the street because it's in bad shape.
For the whole choir section, I mean, the whole downstairs.
For 60% of the basement.
Yeah.
Um, The
Who's that estimate from?
Pioneer. It's a 2-part. One's Pioneer, one's Bloomfield. Bloomfield would have to come and do the heating, air conditioning, vents,
Yeah.
and ductwork, and then Pioneer would do all of the ceilings like they did across the way.
We should call it Bloomfield United Methodist Church.
Blinds in Tower Chapel and the nursery installed. $27.50.
$750?
2750. And that's for all of the windows.
What kind of blinds?
We have to pick them out. But that allows us to spend up to $250. per
And the reason
window.
for the blinds?
The window spaces.
It's
Yeah.
requested.
Okay.
Men's Overnight Shelter requested it.
Oh, okay, I forgot
Some
about
other-
that.
some other
Yeah.
people have
I'm thinking during the
requested
day, but you know, facing east, you don't get much
Right,
sun.
right. Heather has requested it, and she does, video and things in there. Moving right along, this is one of two that Kate wants. And I've gotta be 100% honest with you, and I'm not trying to alarm you with this. The tables in Tower Chapel suck. They're gonna collapse on a kid. They're in bad shape. Bruce and I are honestly considering taking 6 white ones from the fellowship hall and putting them in there until we decide.
What's wrong with them?
They're bent, all of the
The
structure.
rectangle ones or the round ones?
Round. The wooden ones, the 290-pound ones.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, later would be a lot better for all injuries and
So
stuff.
Bruce and Kate would like to take 6 of the white ones, the, what do you call it, urethane, out of Fellowship Hall, because we never use more than 10 or 11 at a time, and we have 17. Put them in there, take the wood ones out before we have an accident with a child.
Yeah. I'm in favor of that.
We can replace all 10 of them, $2,900.
Replacing with
Just the
what?
tables or
Wooden
no?
ones
We already
again,
have
or?
tables.
No. Replace them with new ones, so we don't have to rob from Peter to pay Paul.
Well, if we're not, if Peter's only using 10, we have 17, yeah,
Well,
I'll give up 7.
We used 18 of them just this last month.
Is that just for tables?
That's just for
Do we know what the
tables.
chairs?
That's for
Chairs is
the-
the other half of this list, or
That's for
the other
the-
half of the equation.
That's for the poly, same kind of tables?
Almost identical.
To what's in Fellowship Hall or what's?
To what's in Fellowship Hall.
Okay, good.
Yeah. They're $290 a piece.
Can you can't set up 18 tables in Fellowship Hall, can you?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
We just did it.
For funeral.
Yeah.
For John Wolf.
18?
Yeah, we just did it for John.
Okay, I was there, but,
Yeah.
all right, never mind.
So that's 2,900. The other portion of that is, we have 241 not red, but burgundy chairs, like what's sitting in the chapel. Inside the church, we have 241 of them. We need to replace,
239.
are you ready? Yeah. We need to replace 140 of them.
Can that be repaired, screwed?
I've already got about 15 of them in the air handler room that I gotta find ways to either take the upholstery or it's gotta get scrapped. They're breaking faster than I can fix them.
Can we get better
Yeah, how many,
chairs and?
Here is the request. 140 18.5-inch padded chairs, just like the blue ones that we have in the fellowship hall,
Yes.
Can
those
we-
stack nice?
can be made. We could buy 140 in tan and or brown to match Fellowship Hall, move the blue ones into Fellowship Hall, or into Tower Chapel. We have 140 blue ones, they're beautiful. So we buy 140 to replace the red ones, and we can put them in Fellowship Hall, maybe tan and brown,
How much?
4,900.
For 140 chairs?
That's cheap. I could go 4 times that if you wanted good chairs. But the chairs like we have right now in Fellowship Hall, just like what you're sitting on.
Yeah.
So if Roger were here, I feel like he has a whole story about the men fixing all those chairs or
You know
doing
how long they've
something
been
to
doing
them.
that? Found that out today.
I fixed the pews with screws and stuff, we rearranged the
Oh, yeah.
whole thing in there, and
Oh, yeah.
they need to be replaced.
Yeah, now, I know,
I mean, you
funny,
should
you know,
get a
which
deal on all
pew
pews
is
and all
the,
chairs.
yeah, that's what you tell me about.
Is that right, the chair?
Because I fixed the last one, you said.
Yeah, but now I found 2 other, they finally explained, there's one pew that if you sit on it, it's really bouncy.
Okay.
That's not right. The
so
other ones aren't, okay?
Those are the
Next
2
minute.
things, those are the 2 things that Kate wants
Years.
at the top of her wish list. As we cruise down, Wesley Hall needs paint. on the lower level.
Where? We painted the hallways last
That's what I
year.
thought. Okay, sorry.
No, lower levels. Lower level's the one with all the orange dots all over it.
Right.
Oh.
We were told to leave it alone. All we did was the classrooms.
Oh.
The first floor.
Yeah.
So
1975.
paint the hall,
The entire hallway, it's 100 feet long.
okay,
Both-
19.
Yeah, both sides and new strips along the bottom, 1975.
It's full of good news.
There's a activity closet upstairs in Wesley Hall that Judy keeps all of her belongings in. It has deteriorated over years, and it's like walking into the Addams family basement.
I spent a lot of time in that closet.
It's a nightmare. It's got water
Let me see
damage
it.
and all kinds of nasty things. 1450 to rebuild it.
Oh, paint hall, paint hall.
Well, this is
Sorry.
floor replacement, ceiling replacement, wall repair because of the water damage, and paint.
More than just paint.
Did you get an estimate to tear the building down and build a new building? Might be cheaper.
We're getting
That would
close.
do the other, okay, I'm sorry, how much was the closet?
1450,
1,400?
1,450.
Okay, thank you.
The equipment room foyer for the elevator, you ever been in there? If you're on the far south side of the sanctuary, there's a door with 2 steps that go up, and then there's a stairwell that goes
Correct,
up
yeah,
and up.
yeah.
That foyer right there,
Yeah.
that's the elevator equipment room that goes down into,
Okay.
under the car. That whole wall is in horrible condition. There's a register that's in that space, and the water circulating system over the years has caused it to deteriorate from water damage. And there's mold there.
Yeah.
It needs to be resurfaced and repaired.
Well, after you repair it, is there a way to stop it from happening again?
Well, it isn't leaking now.
Oh,
It's previous damage that hasn't been rectified.
we're gonna, I don't wanna go, I wanna end early so we can go on a tour of all these wonderful things, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Or at least one level, we'll start with some of it.
1550.
I think he's talking enough.
These stairwells that you walk up and
Yeah,
see
I don't
yourself
like
in,
them.
replacing all the lighting
Oh
systems.
yeah, those are ridiculous.
Those are beautiful.
Stairwell light upgrades,
Yeah, both of
and
them.
we would do those LED too, right, for energy savings?
Absolutely.
Maybe we should have a couple of overarching, the energy
And
is
it's all
one.
3 levels. It's from top all the way to bottom.
How much was that?
Better lighting? Yeah.
Much better, right?
Yeah.
1725.
These are all so cheap compared to like the $47,000 for this stupid wiring.
I've glossed over those.
Like such expensive projects last year.
Parsonage, there are 2 projects at the parsonage that we will have to address at some point. We can address it now this year, or I wouldn't wait past.
Such as what?
Exterior paint. Exterior painting and the deck and the covering for the deck need to be, washed, treated, car washed and treated.
Alright,
Okay.
some volunteers.
Wait,
to do
painted
that.
and what, painted and the deck, right? Are they 2 different projects?
They are.
Okay, exterior, how much is exterior paint?
The exterior paint is from the same company that did
Uh-huh.
all of our software work here,
Okay.
7110 for the entire house.
This is a good, because I need to paint my house too, so.
Does that include the deck?
The deck is 2230, same company.
2230. See,
I
now
got
we're gonna
something
go
else.
through this list and weed it down to what we are doing this year, what we're doing another
Yeah.
year, and what
You
we're,
see it and decide
what
what
we're
you
gonna
want.
do and say, we need to
I
have
have
some.
another comment to make, I know, because I like to just get off my chest here. But talking about pews, and talking about chairs, when it comes to replacing pews, which I would think would be soon, is to do away with, I'll just speak in my opinion here, do away with the pews, go to chairs.
Had this conversation about 3 hours ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we can buy all new chairs and forget the pews,
Yeah.
and then we can line them with what we want to line them up for weddings or funerals
Yeah.
or whatever. All right, thank you, I'm all done. I just wanna throw that out there, get it off the chest.
Was that the two things at the parsonage?
Those are the two parts, paint
Yeah.
and the deck.
Do you have anything else since you live there? I'm asking questions.
Well, yeah, we keep going if you like.
New bathroom.
You didn't wash your dryer?
Yeah.
We just bought him one last year.
Um,
Darn
Don't worry,
it.
they got you
I'll
soon.
cover up your kitchen floor, there's 5 layers of flooring in that kitchen.
There are 4
Yes.
floors in Wesley Hall that are still asbestos.
Yeah, but are they unfriable? I mean, they're,
We don't have to remove them.
yeah, well, they're up not to remove them.
Correct.
As long as you mess with it, it's okay, right?
But to go over them, like we have done in Judy's room and in Dan's room, which they absolutely adored, all 4 rooms could be done for $14,900.
Okay, let's do on one floor, some more.
And then there are 2 more lighting upgrades. The only
I like
places-
lighting upgrades.
The only places really left in the church that haven't been upgraded are the church offices.
I thought we did those last year.
Nope, we didn't do the offices.
Oh, okay.
The Welcome Center and Tower Chapel. We did the ceilings, we didn't do the lights, not Tower Chapel. We didn't do anything.
You have some weird random thing
I replaced we made the fluorescents, T8s in the North Chapel, I mean, I changed the ballast and those things.
Yeah. We're talking LEDs.
Oh,
Change it to LEDs.
okay, we didn't do that.
Oh, so how much is that? Oh, I have that 8890. What is it?
That's correct.
Okay. That's,
That's church offices, Welcome Center, and Tower Chapel.
that was already on my list.
Yes, and then the other one is the music room and the office. The same space with all of the ceilings that we talked about earlier, converting all of those to LED is $7,800.
You know, the longer you wait, the cheaper the LEDs will be.
Sorry.
The longer you wait, the cheaper the LEDs will be.
What part of the building
Yeah.
the music room counts as sanctuary? I don't know, I've heard about that.
But those are the ones that I have now. And if there are other requests from other committees or members, then we can entertain getting prices for some of those things.
Like, what was the basement office lighting?
Basement for the music room and the base and the music office, 78.
So those were a series of some you were gonna do and some you would have other people do, right?
Correct.
Contractors?
Correct.
When you do contractors, you 3-bid them, right?
Correct, I do.
Okay. Just making sure.
Oh, yeah.
So if I captured all of this, let's see, where are we at here? We've only spent $30,000 so far.
Wrong.
Some other things, okay, so some other things that we worked on before, I know, we had a quote a couple years ago for to put in ductless air conditioning in the main kitchen of the fellowship hall, where it gets to 2,000 degrees in the summer.
11,000, I think.
Okay, yeah, that was $11,000. I don't know if that's still a priority. I'm sure that Deb Webley would say that it
was
is.
a request from a lot of UMW folks, and so that number's on that range. There's a couple of different options, but the $11,000 option is the most efficient, least expensive.
Open the door.
So some of the
Used to
things
do
you
that.
didn't mention that I had heard, I asked Mark, because before we were holding out $100,000 for the youth, and then we spent some of that on the floor and the ceiling and lights, and then we spent, that was only like 30 something, so, I asked him, you know, what else does the youth want, and he said painting maybe, and a carpet ball game. I don't know if a carpet ball game is really trustees, is it? I don't think it really is, so that was a question, in my head. I know there was a lot of different discussions. The add showers, I have no idea how much that might cost.
Jeff Wolf had some preliminary numbers, but I don't know how concrete they are.
Right, and they didn't show up actual numbers in the, when I looked at the capital
I
campaign.
think they included some structural modification as a part of that process.
That's been in the talks for over
Yeah.
10 years.
I
Right.
No.
Back
Not
when we
gonna
were
be easy
doing
to do.
trips, whatever, you know, other places would stop by here, but they couldn't stay here because they had no showers.
Because I feel like even with the Boy Scouts gone, I mean, not gone, they are there, using half of that floor, that space, like, they're not using the music room right now, they're doing all the youth music in this building. There's that, I call it the junk room, behind the music room, it seems like a lot of space that could be repurposed, but I was looking for it's colored, right?
You mean where all the costumes and things are?
Is there
Closets?
costumes in
You
there?
mean downstairs here?
No, no, I mean on the
Okay,
third
never mind.
floor of Asbury.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
I'm not sure exactly what it says.
so,
That looks very familiar to me.
yes, this is it. So we had, originally, the original plan to renovate the entire Asbury Center was gonna be $700,000. We didn't raise that much, so we were gonna spend $100,000. What, this?
No.
Oh. Oh, that's the sanctuary one, I forgot about that. They were looking at, you wanna explain that?
There's new projectors, there's desire to replace the projectors and really all the audio and video and screens in the sanctuary. And so Mark worked with a company out of New Haven to replace one projector with the one projector that we have, and everybody has to crane their neck up like that. Screen, especially where you sit.
Yeah, we do. We
To
get
go
neck every Sunday.
to two screens, two digital projectors. This is not, I mean, they're not trading out what's in there. This is a maintenance-free projector. It's gonna last a long, long time, but for new projectors, new screens, cabling, it came out to $27,515.
You just one on each side, or no, just
Yeah.
one each side?
Yeah,
Plus the one that you see.
yeah, the monitor
One
in
you
the
see
back.
and then one on each side, okay.
Yeah, one on, not
Mhm.
where, on the sides, but where the banners are.
Oh, okay.
The top part of that, new screens would be put in there, and the projectors would be in the back, in the balcony, but they would project up to those screens. So, instead of the band being up here, the choir being up here, and the words being up here, the words are just above what's on the screen is just
Right above the choir.
right above the choir. It's in the line of sight.
So then the one that we look at would not still be there
Right, it'd go away,
and go away, okay.
yeah.
Does that quote include making that go away?
Yeah, does that include the installation and everything, or just the
It
equipment?
includes, HDMI video signal from video source computer. Oh, I'm sorry, no, I'm misreading this. Two installed 800 lumens digital projectors, positioned off the balcony on shelves provided by the owner. Two installed video screens, located in the upstage wall of the platform, provided cabling, distribution of amplifiers to route two new projectors and the existing video monitor. So that does not include the removal of the old screen. That goes up and down, doesn't
I don't know the answer to that.
Isn't
I'm
there a
sure it
little
does.
curtain up there at the top?
it? Yeah.
And then it goes up to that curtain, so you
Yeah.
can't see it.
So all that included installation, or just all the stuff? I was unclear.
It
what we
includes
just read.
installation,
Okay.
yeah.
Just have to tear it down.
They wouldn't, that
Tear
isn't-
down of the existing one.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you just
So, we retract it and leave it, or we pull
put
it
it
off
under
the
that little
ceiling?
curtain, nobody can see it, it's not obnoxious. If you wanna save some money now.
Hey,
What
Dan, I'm going
Cheap.
backwards. the curtains for West, when you gave us the curtains for Tower Chapel,
Blinds.
the blinds, did that also include the blinds for the sanctuary?
No.
Okay, because
Those
that's
were-
what I was asking about.
Correct.
Do we have a separate quote for that, or?
We don't, because there were so many options available, we needed to discuss how you wanna go about doing it. Do you want film, do you want physical,
Mhm.
do you want inside, do you want outside? I mean, I'm gonna
I have a comment on all that.
spend lots and lots of time looking
Sure.
for the unknown. I mean,
Mhm.
if I have a,
I want people in the sanctuary not to be blinded when the sun
Correct.
is coming up.
correct.
Except it
You just
doesn't last
kinda-
that long.
A couple
You
minutes.
just
Ten-
move a
yeah,
little
you just
bit.
kind of move.
You just move a little bit.
But if you wanna change it, I would go to a film of some sort. The blinds draw cobwebs.
Yeah.
I mean, then you have material, then you got degradation from the sun, then you gotta change them, then you get cobwebs.
Spiders are good.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's really not
Cheap,
that big a
that's
job.
the cheapest thing to do. You just move.
So we're talking.
That's my 2 cents worth.
So we're talking inside film.
That's what I would do.
Okay. It lasts a lot longer. I can start looking for.
And no
cheap
maintenance.
curtains.
Also,
You
he's
don't
got
have
a
to wash it, you don't have to
pricing.
clean it, you don't have to put spider webs.
Yeah.
I mean, and you can
I don't
move.
think we're alone.
It doesn't last that long.
I'm not a expert either, so.
You're hanging around with Sue, so.
Oh, yeah.
How much of that- how much of that southern wall you want me to do? Can we do them all?
I mean, it's right, it's just like that. I don't know, that's where it shines in.
Right, but if you,
Oh.
there's 3 big sections of windows.
Right.
Yeah, you want to do them all?
Well, let's get,
Or if you want to include the one that's on the west side, or east side.
when we take off the screen there, we don't need.
Well, because there's black curtain on those
Yeah,
first 2.
yeah.
Right.
So if we do them all. we
Yeah,
can.
I think we should do them all.
Take the curtains down.
If we're gonna do it, we should do them all. We should take those curtains down if
Are we
we're.
gonna go for a tour, or are you still?
Yeah, I don't think we can finish this, so we didn't even get to Asbury. So, and I just want, we can all think about this next week, we don't have to decide all this right now, but,
Oh, it's way down. Too late.
yeah, so we're at, now we've spent almost $58,000. And I just put that all in the TPF, I didn't put any of it in the capital. And I know that, Jeff, we came back in the windows, there don't need very many windows replaced in Asbury at all, maybe like a couple.
What's wrong with the windows in Asbury?
Well, we had money in there because he thought those were all single pane, but most of them are already double pane.
The ones on the north side have been replaced, but the rest of them need to be.
Yeah, but so that might change, so
Yeah.
if
The
we
others-
wanna go look at, I don't know, let's go look at one room or one mess area and then call it a night.
I have one question though.
Okay.
He had something to say about the garden plot?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm not done.
Oh, you weren't done?
All right,
Okay.
we'll do the tour next month, all right?
Well, actually,
Push it out, yeah.
but so that we don't get off the track, I do need approval for the 1916 for the, circulating posts in the house.
Yeah,
Entertain a motion?
I do.
Because those need to be scheduled.
Where am I taking notes?
Discussion, no.
All
Vote
in
yea.
favor?
Mm.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Next.
Bro, what do you want to say? Do it.
And then, as we're talking about not Tower Chapel, but as we're talking about trustees' property fund, scheduling availability for that, $750.
Oh,
I'm gonna need to do that quick too, otherwise I'm gonna miss that window
oh, before summer and they go derail building, okay.
before they start moving. into
So
March and
moved.
April. If they move into March and April, we're gonna start moving into construction.
When it comes to when it comes
Yeah.
to appearance, we have to
Yeah.
act on that. That's not,
Okay.
that's nickels and
So
dimes.
Dave moved that, is there a second?
I'll
Second.
that too.
Wait, you can't move it and second it. Matt
I'll second
seconded
it.
it.
Kind of pushing along here.
Wouldn't vote on it.
All
I
in
vote yeah.
favor?
Aye. I don't
Yeah.
know what the voting is.
Okay.
Do it.
Do
As-
it, that's
As Jane
two.
says, do it.
Do it.
Okay. And if you want to, as Jane has pointed out, proactively prepare for the 3
Filters.
water cylinder containers at $184 a piece, so that we can get them started now and be prepared when they are needed. You can approve it now, you can wait till March.
Can I make a motion for the filters?
It's gonna be
Yes.
done early April, or early May.
I'm giving Jane that motion, the filter things, and Carol the second. All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the only other thing I had was a request to revisit the garden plots over at Asbury.
I feel like we could do that next month since it's
Or they
frozen.
want an answer.
Grounds frozen. Well, the conversation was a request to see if there was the possibility where we might be able to formulate a solid leadership focus toward putting together a concrete plan on,
Yeah.
if we're gonna have them, here's what we gotta do.
It went awry last year, and then
Yeah.
when Tom.
We basically need a
That's
homeowners
right.
association for those plots.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
there's, we've talked about it in staff, there's people who are willing to tend them.
Mhm.
Correct.
There's just nobody, Tom oversaw that,
Yeah.
Right.
and I don't think there's anybody to replace Tom,
I know.
but
Last year Kathy and Sarah were in favor of just rolling it under and replacing it with turf.
Correct.
I'm not in favor of that turf. Well, I would be more favorable if you're not gonna put in like pollinator garden or something, but, there's still some interest. I don't know, somebody needs to be in charge of it.
You need an old McDonald.
There are interest in boxes, if, and allow them. There's interest in people who want to care for boxes. We just need to make sure that we're going to be able to provide them. If we are,
Mhm.
let's see about getting a spearhead to move that forward. If there's not,
Mhm.
then we just need to publish that the lots are going to become grass.
Until they change their mind or until someone else wants to take it on.
That's
But
something you
they'll-
would,
but they'll disappear.
announce from the pulpit and say, you know, this is an idea of we need someone to spearhead that. Otherwise, how are you gonna find anybody?
We still have all the timbers and stuff, right?
It's all there.
It's all there.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
We just need to put together a plan for leadership and usage.
Yeah,
That's it.
so to get the people, whoever wants what.
And if
pick
there's
the fruit.
names out there where people might want to do that, I actually heard the possibility of your own wife. She might. Just throwing it out there. If there's somebody who's willing to put a little
But
leadership
Kathy doesn't
on
wanna
it.
spearhead it, and neither does Karen.
Sarah.
Sarah.
Sarah, nobody wants to, yeah.
They don't
Those two
well,
don't want, they'll take care of it.
Well, Kathy moved to Florida, right?
They've not been asked, well, she'll be here during the fair months, I believe.
Oh, okay.
They've not been asked to spearhead it, but what they don't wanna do is what they had last year. They walked into a tundra of
Yes. I
discuss
understand.
and then spent, days on end cleaning
Yeah,
it.
it's not their.
So I wanted us to think about, between now and next month, that, I think like last year, we did a couple of really visible things, the carpet, right, and then, cause a lot of these little things are really important for the building to be efficient, and I like the energy efficiency things to save money. Like the furniture, that would be really visible, but, I cut a lot of flack for getting white colored carpet.
It's my fault.
What's
I
the,
still stand behind it.
I do too, but then I see dirt and I'm like,
February 22nd.
anyway, so let's
is
think
the
about
next
that,
public hearing.
and Asbury, what is we have enough money, we could do the windows and the fire alarm in Wesley Hall, and then still have a tiny bit more in Asbury, I don't know if that's
I
it.
mean, we don't technically have to do the fire alarm.
No, fire alarm is just a want thing, it's not a need thing.
Well, I mean, Lowell's the safety fire guy, and he
The
said we
building's
need
been
it, he thinks it's
grandfathered.
really important.
For a fire alarm system in Wesley Hall.
Yes, and I want us to talk a little bit about ADA stuff, I know we're grandfathered on that too, but
I
could
would
we be more,
love to have a ramp where those stairs are. so
Right,
between
and, do we
Welcome
have-
Center and Upper North End.
right, and we don't have any doors with the push. I mean, those are welcoming, inviting things we could do.
Well, we have a push thing
We do.
on Jefferson.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
And it's working beautifully for
Yeah,
everybody
people
else.
use it, I agree to it.
The battery froze on the outside unit, but I replaced it.
Good man.
If anybody wants to go, who wants to stay and look at something interesting? Or not
Here I am.
interesting?